Happy New Year, guys! It's 2022, and in today's video I'm going to share with you all of our goals that we did not meet last year and we're continuing on this year, or brand new goals that we have for our homestead. Let's go! Hey guys, welcome back to Mini Urban Farm, a channel about gardening and homesteading in the suburbs. I am so excited to make this video because last year, 2021, I actually made a video for our goals for 2021, and we were able to accomplish the majority of the things on that list. So this year I'm setting pretty lofty goals. These are goals that Alan and I have discussed and decided that we are going to move forward with for 2022. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so number one is to grow half of our own vegetables. Alright, so if you guys know and you've been watching this channel for a little while now, we actually had a 450 square foot garden in our previous home since we moved in here with family in order to begin construction out on our homestead, on our dream home. We constructed a new garden which is about 60 square feet, and that is significantly less gardening space than I had previously. In our last garden we were able to grow all of our own food, all of our own vegetables, that is vegetables and herbs, and so this time around with our 60 square feet I'm aiming to grow half of our vegetables and all of our herbs. Alright, our herbs obviously they don't take up much space, the majority of our herbs are in pots anyway, so I am going to try to reduce the types of vegetables that we grow and actually grow all of our salad greens and all of our like beans and tomatoes and maybe a few like peppers and stuff. So more to come on that, but that is the goal. Half is what we're aiming for. Alright, so my second goal, and this is definitely a joint effort between Alan and I because for Christmas he gave me a vermicomposting bin. If you're not familiar with what that means, it means we're going to be worm farming. We are going to have a bin full of worms that can help us compost. They are currently being shipped in the mail, so we should be getting them in a couple of days here, and then we will begin composting with worms. So I'll take you along on that journey with us, but hopefully that'll produce a really high quality compost for our garden and for our food forest. The majority of the reason why I wanted to start doing that is because it's much quicker, one, than just regular compost from what I've heard, and also because they are really good at producing like an all quality, like all-purpose type of fertilizer in the form of worm castings and compost tea, like worm compost tea, that sort of thing, and then you can put that on fruit trees. So I'm really excited to use that for our fruit trees moving forward and not have to buy fertilizer, especially for a 7,000 square foot food forest. Which brings me to our food forest. That is another goal that we've had for last year in 2021, but it's a goal that we are taking with us into 2022. We currently have the majority of our trees planted out, so our actual like sub-canopy layer. If you guys remember on the food forest tour I showed you these like massive pine trees that we have. I think they're like 40 or 50 feet tall, maybe even taller than that, and so technically those are our canopy, which makes our fruit trees, which are much shorter than that, our sub-canopy layer. So we're probably going to be getting a few more of those fruit trees, and that's our goal, basically, to finish out that sub-canopy layer and to begin on our herb and like shrub kind of layers. So all of those layers that go underneath the sub-canopy, I'm hoping to move on to the shrub layer first and hopefully get a lot of that taken care of this year. However, I will put a disclaimer in there. We do have a lot of white-tailed deer in the area and they like to munch on some of those things, which is why a lot of our fruit trees have like cages around them and stuff. So we'll see how much we're actually able to plant out without the deer getting to them, and we don't have a fence yet. So eventually we'll have a fence around the entire food forest, which, you know, we'll see how it goes. If I see that the deer are starting to eat some of those things, then we might hold off on this until a little bit further down when the house is actually like almost fully constructed and when there's a fence around the entire property to reduce some of the deer coming in. But let's see how that one goes, but that is our goal for the food forest this year. Alright, so next up is adding quail again. So last year we had quail and I loved my quail. They were adorable. They're tiny little things. Like I did not realize how small they were going to be. They're definitely a little bit more challenging than chickens in the sense of like incubating them. They're more delicate from what I can see. They're significantly more delicate than baby chicks. So We'll be adding in quail again. I have ordered quail eggs that we will be putting in the incubator and trying to hatch out again. And then hopefully we're able to actually raise them and have quail on our homestead. We have predator-proofed the quail coop, so that was pretty much why they all vanished last year. But hopefully we'll be well on our way with quail and be able to provide some of Milo's dog food, or some more of Milo's dog food, by using quail. Next up is our meat chickens. So last year we did a few meat chickens. We raised chickens for meat, and then we actually had a few that we had hatched out as like Easter egger mix type of things. And so this year our goal is to do 2 meat chicken batches. We will be accomplishing this by using the eggs that we have currently in our chicken coop. So we have roosters, which makes our eggs fertilized. So we'll be taking those fertilized eggs from our own chicken coop and we will be incubating them into batches of meat chickens. I'm not exactly sure on the batch size. Our incubator holds up to, I think it's like 40 or 41 chicken eggs at a time. So no more than 40, but we will see how many we're actually getting because our flock right now is pretty small. I think we're down to like 13 chickens. So of course they can only produce so many eggs, and then there's like, I think like a 7-day window in which you can collect them before the fertility starts decreasing. So depending on those numbers will be how many we're actually able to put in the incubator and hatch out for egg production, or for meat production, sorry. And so yeah, our goal is twice next year. That will probably be around March we start, and then around September or so, again depending on the weather. I don't want to be butchering out in like the dead of, you know, summer in 95-degree weather. That was not fun the first time around, so we have learned our lesson and we're going to time it with the seasons this time. Okay, so then one of our main goals next year is to break ground on our house, right? The reason we're living here with family, the reason we sold our house, the reason we are putting ourselves through this chaos is so that we can actually have our dream home. Last year we sold our house, which kind of made us homeless, but my family has taken us in, so we're living with family right now. I'm not sure about when the house is going to be finished. Between permitting and between the estimate that they gave us, anywhere between like 8 to 12 months. It depends, you know, these things vary, especially like construction nowadays is taking forever, and there's like a backlog of supplies and stuff. So I'm not sure exactly when we're going to be finishing the house and moving in, which is why I didn't include it on this goal list, but we'll definitely be breaking ground. So starting construction on the house is on our goal, and I hope I'm not wrong about this one, but I definitely don't see that not happening in 2022. We'll see. And along those same lines is to start our garden on the property. So along with our dream home and our food forest, we're going to have a garden, and it is going to be the biggest garden I've ever had. It is still gardening in the suburbs, right? We are still a gardening channel, homesteading channel, all of that, because we are actually in the suburbs. It just so happens that our piece of property, 1.7 acres, is in the suburbs. But we are going to be building the biggest garden I've ever had. It is going to be my dream garden, which makes it essential that you start like the ground prep and the garden work. I want to make sure that the land is perfectly prepped. I know it will definitely take a while because it is going to be anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet, and I know that's a big variance, but Alan and I are still debating how much space we should be dedicating to this. I think it'll probably end up being on the bigger side, but you know, we'll see. And so we will have to prep the ground for this, whether that's including cover crops or putting down cardboard. Fencing it in is a big one because there's a lot of like wild rabbits and deer out there, but just getting all the prep work set up. I don't know if we'll be able to do that at the same time as the construction is going on at the house, just because like there's going to be a lot of workers and trucks and all that stuff going back and forth, although I think it is like far enough away from the house that maybe we'll be able to get to it. But definitely whatever type of work we're able to do on it, we will be starting the groundwork for that garden. And also, we are going to start some landscaping projects for the dream house, all right? And this isn't specifically to the garden or the food forest, this is surrounding the house. So one of the things that we were discussing with the contractor that we are working with, our builder, they have allocated quite a bit of money towards landscaping. And of course, this is a gardening channel and homesteading and all of that, and so I spoke to Alan and we decided we could probably get those landscaping costs down quite a bit. I don't want like sod, I don't want like pallets of this, you know, super baby like sod that you have to put down and care for, you know, on end. I really want to have like a sustainable, you know, landscaping, and maybe some edible plants in there as well. So one of the things that I'm going to be working on is propagating out some of the plants that I have in like a larger scale so that we can actually grow them and give them to the landscaper and use those as the plants around our home. One of the ones is going to be, if I can get it over here, are snake plants. So this is a snake plant that I brought up with me when I moved up here to move in with Alan, and it's one of my favorite types of plants to landscape with because they require virtually no maintenance, right? Like I hardly ever water these things, and they give out a pup, right? I think is what it's called, like these little mini plants that come up into the soil, and then every couple of months I'll notice that it has like a new little plant growing off the side of it, just like an aloe vera plant, or like a banana tree or something, or banana plant. And so I take those ones and I propagate them into a whole nother container, and so far we have, I think, like we have like 10 of them, I think, so far, because I do this every single time. So as those ones will start growing their own little plants, then I'll continue to do this, and hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of snake plants and not have to buy them, because plants are expensive if you buy fully grown plants. Another thing I'm going to be doing this with is rosemary. It has been really hot here, and so all of the rosemary that I cut to make dried rosemary and dried herbs with, all of it has already grown back, which is something that generally doesn't happen in December. But so I'm gonna take that and propagate it out because it is so warm right now. Like it is abnormally warm here for it being the middle of December. So hopefully I'll be able to start those and actually use rosemary around the house as well. And I'll be doing that with a few other herbs and some seeds that I'm starting from scratch this season coming up. So that is a big one. The landscaping projects around the house is going to be hopefully a big cost saver, but also like a way to be sustainable and use what we already have to build our dream home. So I will be sharing that with you as we go along, but I'm really excited for that one. Next up is to continue on in my journey of learning to preserve food. So I don't know if I put this on last year's list. I don't think it was. I'm kind of terrified of learning how to can my own food. I'm not gonna lie, I've never actually tried it, and it's been on my list of like things that I want to learn how to do. And so far I've been really heavy like on preserving food by freezing it and by using other means of, you know, preserving. But this year I would like to learn how to can, even if it's just water canning instead of pressure canning, but I would like to be able to preserve some of the things that we have grown, because you know, we get hurricanes here, and a lot of times like the freezer and the electricity will go out for a couple of days, and then of course what happens to all the stuff that you work so hard to grow and preserve? It just goes away. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but it's on my list for this year. And the same applies to growing mushrooms. It's something that I haven't really done too much research in. I've done a little bit of, you know, information searching on growing mushrooms, and it was one of the goals that I did not meet for 2021, but hopefully 2022 we will get into maybe some like wine cup mushrooms or growing button mushrooms or something. I just want to be able to produce a mushroom from the garden because we love cooking with mushrooms, and if that's something like additional that we can grow, I think that would be excellent to add to our food forest as well as the garden. So I would love to get into that this year. Hopefully that's something that we can check off in 2022. Alright, and so this one is actually a pretty big one, which is to seed save everything that I can from the garden. I have been big on seed saving in the past, like this past year, this past couple seasons, I have seed saved a whole bunch. There are things that I have not learned to seed save yet, like tomatoes, right? Generally here we grow tomatoes the majority of the year. Like my tomatoes last all throughout December on a regular basis. So generally for the tomatoes, I will just take the actual fruit and pop it back, or I'll take the seeds out and put those in the soil without having to actually seed save them. But I would like to learn how to seed save more things, starting with tomatoes, because I love growing tomatoes, and it would prevent us from having to continue to buy all of these seeds. So I do spend a lot of money on seeds because I actually like buying seeds, but we have been able to grow a lot of the things in our garden now from things that we previously saved, right? Like all of my lemon basil was like this tiny little seed packet, I think 3 seasons ago, that I've had, and then since then we have been just seed saving, and actually all of my basil I seed save and I just plant those back into the garden. I have not had to buy basil seeds for a very long time, and I would like to do that with just about everything else in the garden if at all possible. So that's definitely a goal, and I want to be able to share those things with family and with you guys and have my own little, storage of seeds, so that in case there are shortages of seeds, which there have been in the past couple of years, seed shortages, I want to be able to have mine to be able to fall back on. Alright, and the last goal that I have for Mini Urban Farm for 2022 is to grow this channel, Mini Urban Farm YouTube channel, to 5,000 subscribers. We closed out last year, we closed out 2021 with just over 1,000 subscribers, which was a personal goal of mine. It wasn't something that I shared with you guys or even included it on my last video at the beginning of 2021, but it was definitely a goal of mine to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for everyone who watches my channel and supports us and follows along in the journey and learns something from us and leaves comments and all of that stuff. You have no idea how much it actually means to me. And this year I would like to continue growing our little community into 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't done so yet and you enjoy this video, if you enjoy growing along with us, then by all means feel free to subscribe and like the videos. It really does help the channel out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!